The following podcast is recommended for mature audiences only. The following podcast is recommended for adults only. Maturity is not a requirement.
Hello and welcome to episode 56 of Dear Download, a podcast where we get to share our most intimate and treasured memories of Download Festival. We'll talk about each year, the bands we saw, the bands we missed, and everything else noteworthy that happened across the weekend. Also, we'll touch upon any news, other festivals, and the music industry past, present and future. This episode, we're talking about what was wrong with people in 1993 and why did they put out such bad albums. Sorry. Yes, so last year we started a sort of a kind of a mini series of episodes where we did episodes that were released 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and 10 years ago. And we realized we can run with this for 10 years now. So this episode, we are doing albums that were released 30 years ago in 1993. I'm Adam, and as usual, I'm here with Simon. How are you doing, my man?
Hello, good evening to you, sir. We're recording this in the evening, people. Sorry if it's the morning where you are. I highly disagree with Adam's comments at the beginning. I thought they were very good albums released in 1993. We'll get to that.
We will. Before we go on too much further, I'm sure you've heard by now, I have been a little bit ill for the last probably about a week, and yeah, you can probably hear it in my voice. Apologise that I don't have my usual smooth, velvety tones, but yeah. We couldn't push it back any further. We did push it back by one day because I sounded even worse yesterday.
You don't sound that bad. You just sound a little bit more sort of bunged up than normal. But your actual voice is fine. You just sound like you've got a bit bunged up between the nose and the head, which is fine. Yeah.
Well, I was feeling awful ever since probably Sunday until yesterday. I felt worse this morning than I have the last couple of days. I thought I was coming out of it. But I felt worse this morning, but I have felt a lot better throughout the day, and it's the best I've felt in a few days now.
Good.
So hopefully the next couple of days I should be back to normal. But I think I'm the last person in my household to have this, I think. I think everybody else, the kids probably brought it back from school. That's how we get these things as family now. Everything comes from school.
So many horrid things being like thrown between the children, and then they just bring them home and all the parents get sick.
Yeah,
that's understandable.
I think Kelly had it before me. She didn't really make too much of a fuss. The kids didn't really make a fuss. I've been dying. I really have been dying the last few days. But that said, how have you been, Simon? It's been 3 weeks since we last spoke now.
Yeah.
You had a honeymoon?
I did indeed, yes. Classic, we went to Amsterdam for our honeymoon. We had that mini moon that we done just after the wedding, but that was just like a little quick getaway because we wanted to save some more money and see how much money we got from the wedding to use, obviously, for the honeymoon and stuff. But yeah, we were originally going to go to Greece. Well, this was the idea. Vicky's idea was Greece to sort of... I don't like holidays where you just laze around by a pool. That's not really... Normally we do city break. So I did say to her, a bit of a weird choice, babe, that we want to go to Greece. But then we thought about it and we were like, actually, let's just do another weekend, city break. And and then go to Amsterdam. And it was absolutely amazing. Like literally, I said this to a lot of people that I've been since. I thought Berlin was my favourite city I've ever been to. It's now been trumped by Amsterdam.
Nice.
It is such a beautiful, just amazing place like no other city I've been to. It's very, very cool. So yeah, definitely we'll try and get back there at some point. But yeah, it was amazing. And the vlog is out and that's done really well. It's already had like 1.4 thousand views in like 5 days or whatever. So it's done really, really well on YouTube as well. So yeah, people like Amsterdam.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never been to Amsterdam. I haven't watched your vlog either. So we can use this opportunity for you to tell me a few bits about it, and I haven't got to watch it. No, I will still watch it. But
Well, so we try to do, obviously the good thing about city breaks is you can do, like we do it every time we go to London, we do our little London trips. Obviously I'm from London, but I love to take Vicky and just show her as much as possible. So we look before, try and book stuff that people do. So we done the Sex Museum, which wasn't as good as I thought it was, but there was so much weird shit in there. It's worth seeing for that, like just the statues and pictures, and there's all sorts of crazy shit in there, which was good fun. The Museum of Prostitution, which was better, I think, than the Sex Museum. That was really good fun, actually, and very interesting in highlighting. I'll move on to the Red Light District in a second, but in highlighting how it all works, how it's legal, what it was like when it wasn't legal. There's loads of really interesting stuff to do with it. And then we done the Anne Frank Museum, which was, again, incredible. They actually have Anne Frank's diaries in there, which you can look through a piece of glass. It was so very depressing, obviously. The whole Holocaust was just a horrific thing. But again, like we did in Germany, we went to see all of the the Nazi museums and all the stuff related to all of that stuff. And although it is dark, it's so interesting as a subject to look into how it happened, why it happened, how it affected people. It's just, the Anne Frank Museum is a must. It was great. But we had to book 3 months in advance because it was booked up. Yeah, literally. You'll be really lucky if you go to Amsterdam and don't pre-book it to get a place. Like, you have to go there at the perfect time. We only got a ticket to go there at 8:00 in the evening. So we went in the night, which was really cool. But it was great. And then, we walked around. I'll say quickly, get out of the way, right? The red light district, right? When you're like a teenager, or when you learn about the red light district and you think, I thought it was going to be wild.
Yeah.
I was disappointed because as like a teenager, I was thinking, oh my God, there's going to be naked women everywhere and everyone's like, yeah, come in, have sex, and there's all this crazy shit there. It is not like that at all. Obviously, because it's like government regulated and, it's all legal. It is literally women in their underwear standing in windows. That's it. But the vibe of the place is good. We went to loads of bars. It's really fun. Everyone there's got a smile on their face. All the girls behind the windows are making a shit ton of money, so fair play to them. It was cool to see, but it just wasn't as wild or raunchy as it is in your head. It's actually very, quite, what do I want to say? Conservative-esque, really. Yeah. Like, yes, you see women in their underwear. Me and Vicky walking around going, oh, bum. Oh, yeah, look at her. She's hot. She's hot. But yeah, it was good fun. But it was nice to say that I've seen it. But yeah, it wasn't as wild or raunchy as you think it is when you go. But like weed culture there is obviously huge. So we done some edibles, which were really, really fun. Nothing major, some like gummies and lollipops and all sorts of shit. So we got a little bit buzzed. It was quite good. But we ended up literally just walking around, going into almost every bar and drinking wine, which was great. And, we sat by the canal. The best thing that we done actually was the wine and cheese boat ride, because there's canals absolutely everywhere. You couldn't throw a rock and not hit a canal in Amsterdam. It is all based around the canal system. So we were like, oh, let's go on a canal ride, obviously. And we were like, oh my God. We love wine. We love cheese. There's a wine and cheese canal boat ride. So we're like, okay. So we got on it. And we were sat with all these Americans. They were really fucking annoying. Sorry if you're American, you're listening, but they really got on my nerves. They would not shut up when the tour guide was like, the tour guide said, we can be quiet and you guys can just drink and have wine, or when you go round, we can tell you about loads of shit. And everyone was like, yeah, tell us about stuff. We want to learn about the city and history and all that stuff. But these Americans would not shut up when these two women were speaking.
Yeah.
It was really annoying.
Must be drummers.
But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was that was frustrating. But we looked around. There was only one other couple that had eaten all of their cheese. So we got the most out of this. We ate every single bit of cheese we got given. And we didn't realise how much wine we'd drank until we got off the boat. And we were absolutely plastered. Like, you're on there and you're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit drunk here. So we're just drinking. We got off, twatted, absolutely twatted. So then we just stumbled around the city the rest of the time, going into thrift stores and trying on loads of weird retro clothes and glasses. But yeah, nice. So we just done shit like that the whole time. But yeah, we were there for 5 days. And it was worth it. I highly recommend, if you're thinking of going, you have the money to go, get yourself to Amsterdam. The flight was 55 minutes.
Was it?
I've sat on the tube longer than that before. I've been on a bus in the middle of London. It took longer for the N5 night bus to go from Camden to Edgware than it did for me to fly from Bristol to Amsterdam. So, yeah, even if you're not that much of a plane person, you're barely on the plane. You're there. It's great.
I think I've been on the bus from Bridgewater to Taunton before. And it was like 11 miles or something like that, and it took an hour and a half.
See, that's what I mean. So yeah, like, you know, just everything wise, it was just really good. So yeah, I won't babble on about it too much, but highly recommended. Get yourself there; it's great fun. Very alternative as well. Everyone there is either got a hippie style or a goth style, but even the high streets are just like nice. You get different people. Obviously, 1 million British people go there a year, so every single person there speaks English. So it's really easy to get around and talk to everyone. It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, highly recommended.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. The last 3 weeks, not really much has happened. A few things happened, and I thought to myself, that's quite funny, or, you know, that's interesting. I'm going to say that on the podcast in this bit. And then a couple of days passed, and I thought back to it and thought, that's not as funny as I thought it was. I'm going to sound like a knob.
Don't overthink it.
Nothing to report on this bit. I've just been working really hard. I'm shattered every evening, really am. And this illness or this cold or whatever it is has not helped at all. It's making me even more tired.
Well, that zaps you out just like being in the house, let alone actually going to work and, you know, moving shit around. That's not what you need when you're sick.
No. All right. There was I saw a guy.
Go on.
It's not going to be as funny as I think it is. I was just leaving the supermarket a couple of weeks back, and a guy was leaving his car, walking towards the supermarket, and he dropped a coin. And obviously, you know, when you drop a coin, you hear it. And he sort of looked down, and he was in front of me, and I was watching him, and it sort of twirled around a little bit, and then went through his legs and out the other side. And as I passed him, went, Megs! Instead of pointing at it, going, oh, it went that side of you, or being helpful, I just said, Megs, to him. Like, I don't know why. That's not the sort of thing I would normally do.
That is great. That's fantastic.
Megged by his own coin.
By a coin. And then a guy going, Megs. If that was me that dropped the coin, I would have been pissing myself if someone would have said that to me, if it had gone through my legs.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he saw it go through his legs, because he was sort of looking down one side. It had already gone through.
That reminds me of when I used to play football, and if you're going up for a header with some guy and you both head the ball, and the ball goes to somewhere above you that you both can't see, so you both have to like look around really quickly to see where the ball went, because it hit off one of your heads, but you don't know like what bit of your head it came off of and what direction that was. Yeah. So you sort of head the ball, you both come down and you go, oh, there it is. Go get it again. That's what that reminds me of, just being confused about where something is when it's gone around you, which is great.
I usually ducked when the ball came towards my head. We had one defender who was amazing at heading, so I was like, oh, Sean's got it. I used to get megged every single match. I think there wasn't a single match that I didn't get megged in.
Have you got quite a... I'm trying to think how you stand, because some people in football, when they run at the same sort of leg width almost that they stand at, and if you stand quite wide-legged, it is easy to put it through someone's legs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always used to wear my trousers down below my ass, like a proper new metaler, and you have to use your thigh muscles out, like, to hold them up.
So you have to stand a little bit further out.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I had a friend who would always point it out and say, oh, you got megged. And I'll always remember the day my son megged me for the first time as well. And I thought, Mark will enjoy that. I'll have to let Mark know.
Great.
My son, who is 2, has megged me.
Megged by your own kid. That's good stuff. That is good stuff.
But yes, that's my...
That was good.
That's the highlight of my 3 weeks.
Should have brought that up. That was great.
Yeah, there was a couple of things. I can't remember what they were now.
Don't hesitate next time. If these anecdotes, happen or come to you, just say them. do remember, we can always cut it out.
Yeah,
if it's
true.
not good for the listeners, we just cut it out. You just crack on with the anecdotes, and we'll just listen.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. Well, moving on, shall we? We actually have got a little bit of news, and I have a new release I want to talk about. I don't know about you. We haven't done this for a while. But the news is we hit 20,000 downloads all time.
Woo!
It's insane.
That's cool, man. That is a lot of listens.
Yeah. And we only hit...
Hell of a lot.
So we've been going, June 2021? So it's about 28 months, I think. 2 and a bit years. 2 and like a third years. 28 months sounds better. And we only hit 10,000 downloads 6 months ago.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so this year's download just skyrocketed. So if anybody's still listening that found us during sort of our build up to this year's download, thank you for sticking around. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Honestly, like we're always surprised by the numbers and, you know, the amount of people in the Discord and stuff and all the activity around the podcast. Like we said before, it's just us two having conversations that you guys clearly like to listen to. So it's good for us because we know that people are enjoying it and listening and they want to stick around and, you know, listen to what the crap that we have to say, which is great. But it also makes us want to do it, you know. I mean, like, I'm sure we would do it even if we had like 10 listens, but because me and Adam really, really enjoy doing it. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone. Like 20,000 is a big, big number. And there are a lot of podcasts that don't even get close to that number. So to only be this far into a podcast and only to do it every, 2 weeks, not, weekly like other people do, is pretty insane, actually.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It blew me away. I know we have spoken about sort of this a little bit recently and said, it's coming up. But yeah, just like knowing that we were going to hit that at some point just blew me away. It really did. And we were talking a little bit about it before and like saying about how we were talking about the Hardwired podcast and how they managed to get it was Jenny and Danica that are on the booking team for Download for their first ever episode. But we were nobodies. I'm a postman. Simon works in houses.
We've literally built. He still has no idea what I do to this day, even though I've told him multiple occasions. It's not very hard to know, But yeah, works in houses. I don't, but okay. But yeah, like
you interrupted. I was
you get a
gonna
podcast
say
like that, and
industry. Sorry.
Yeah.
You interrupted. I was going to say in houses. And the industry surrounding houses, like the garden and the back garden.
I'm not sure he was, people. I think he's just covering his tracks here.
I don't know.
But yeah, like, a lot of podcasts. Yeah, a lot of podcasts are started by people that are like famous or already have an audience in some way. We've built the community that we've got, and we've built this podcast up from literally two blokes meeting, him liking the stuff that I was doing on YouTube and saying to me, do you want to do a podcast? So yeah, we won't go on about it for too long, but we are, eternally grateful for everyone for listening. And yeah, thanks for all the support. We want to keep going and get those numbers to go even crazier. We know it jumps up during festival season because we talk about that a lot, but we do so much other stuff, and I'm so glad that people stick around throughout the year and just listen all year round, which is amazing. All I hear is positive feedback, and we always say if you've got anything negative or you got any notes or you got anything we should cover or at least have a conversation about or anything, just hit us up, message us on any of the social medias, on the Discord, because we're always willing to mix it up and do different stuff. We try to do different subjects and not always stick to music, go off of that a little bit, go back to music. So yeah, but we're still having a blast even this long. How long was it, dude? 28 months.
Yep, 28 months.
Yeah, so 28 months, and I'm enjoying it more.
Yeah.
Than I was in the beginning.
Yeah,
like
me too.
I like doing it now. It's a real comfort thing to us to sort of get everything off of our chests and put us at ease. It's good for our mental health, I think, this podcast.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully that comes out on other people, people that might not have big friend groups or might be, disassociated from other people can listen to this. And hopefully it's just like being in the same room as two friends that are having a conversation about the stuff that, you guys enjoy as well. So hopefully we cover that little bit for you as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Hopefully. I hadn't thought of that in so many words, but obviously I absolutely agree.
I've got lots of words.
Yes.
I bet sometimes someone's listening to this and just going, God, I wish Simon would shut the fuck up so we can listen to Adam speak. You've got your YouTube, you cunt. Why don't you piss off to that? Stop talking.
Well, I was starting to think that this episode should have probably been a YouTube episode with the amount that I have to say about these albums. No, I will. I've got some input.
He's doing himself a disservice again. This will be a perfectly fantastic episode.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Like you just said, we blow our own horns quite a bit. I've noticed, but I think
we don't blow our own horns though. I don't think we come in here and say we're the best podcast. I mean, we are, but I mean, we don't come in here and say we're the greatest ever. We're just thankful to everyone for actually listening to what we do.
Yeah.
I'm just thanking everyone. I'm not saying I'm the greatest podcaster of all time, but I am. But
yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I absolutely agree with you and what you said about hopefully we're helping other people as well. Yes, great things are still coming. Like we said, new releases. There's only one I really want to talk about. There's probably been loads that I haven't really caught, but I only listened to Blink-182's new single. Well, they got a couple out, but most people know the one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Only listened to it a few days ago. Probably it was this week. What day is it? Probably like Monday or Tuesday, and it blew me away. It really hit me in the feelings.
Yeah, it's a great song. Great track to return with. I think as well. Like with Blink, I think that Tom singing with Angels and Airwaves and the way that they craft that, they've released some really well crafted, really well put together albums. I think him leaving Blink and really concentrating on that and other stuff has just given him so much stuff to come back to Blink with, and the other guys have just been constantly doing stuff as well. I think that's really helped. No one's just stopped and then come back to it. They haven't lost a step, literally.
No. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I've never actually seen Blink. Have you?
I have once, yeah. I have a Reading 2013, which was a great show. Yeah, Blink, a really, really good fun live. So, like we said before, hopefully one day, Download will have the money to get them because they are no doubt very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get Guns N' Roses, you can get Blink. Put it this way, if you can get Guns N' Roses to play a 3-hour set, you can get anyone to play Download. It's just all about timing and what's in the kitty at the time when that band is around. So fingers crossed for the future. Love to get Blink at Download. I think that'll be really well received by everyone. Yeah,
and I think I forgot how much I liked them as well. But yeah, I mean, the lyrics to One More Time, obviously fantastic as well anyway. But like just their sound as well, I forgot how much I liked them originally. I can't remember what happened to them. Did they just go on like a hiatus and then never stop the hiatus, or did they split up properly? I can't remember.
Well, no, they they split up properly, and then Tom wanted to go off and do his own stuff, and they went off and done a few other things, and then they were like, well, we want to continue Blink, but Tom didn't want to come back.
Right, okay.
So then they just decided, all right, we're just going to get someone else and do Blink, which they did up until this point.
Oh, who was that? It was
that was the
Trio?
Alkaline Trio singer. Yeah. Matt Skiba.
Ah, nice one. I wouldn't have known his name. I'm impressed myself that I remembered what band he was from, though.
You've made me feel depressed about myself again. That's pulling a name out of my fucking arsehole, as always.
Well, it's a good job we're doing this. It'll perk you up. But yeah, I don't know how big a fan. We've never really spoken much about Blink either on here. I don't know how much of a bigger fan you were. I got into them through Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Great album.
I didn't get Enema of the State. I just didn't get it.
Really?
It was massive. All my friends liked it.
Good album, man.
I wasn't interested, and I tried going back to it after I got into Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and I could never. Yeah, like I said, just never got it. Never got into it.
I think if you go back now, you might get it.
Yeah, I might do.
It's got some really great tracks on it. It's a really good album. That is. It's They've got loads of good albums. They've got loads. I mean, the early ones like Buddha and stuff, they're not great.
Yeah.
From Dude Ranch is okay, and then from Enema of the State it gets really good. Like that I think that run of 3 albums, Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and Blink 182 are just 3 incredible albums, one after the other. It's like, I think that my favourite album though is Blink 182, so the one from 2003, 2 or 3. That's my favourite.
That's
my favourite.
I can't think of what songs are on that one at the moment. What
like Down, Violent. Oh God, what else is on that album? Put me on the spot now. Hold on.
I Miss You, was that on that one, or was that a bit later?
Yeah. So So Feeling This. I Miss You. Violent, which is my favourite Blink song. Stockholm Syndrome, Down's great. Always, which is a absolutely killer track. It's brilliant. That whole album gives me feels. Like that album was really something to me. It really was. That was like a year when I was just like, oh, fucking hell, Blink 182 are great.
Yeah. Okay, so we've discovered that Blink 182 is another band that I've only listened to one album of. Then
there you go.
So I will listen to some more, but no, I did like a lot of their other singles, just never got into the albums.
Yeah. But
I would love to see them, and I did consider myself to really like them, even though I haven't for other bands where I had a similar story. Blink 182 were amazing. Hopefully we can get them a download at some point.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Did you have any other new releases?
I'm really behind on new releases at the moment, man.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's come out that I need to listen to. The new Thy Art Is Murder's come out. I need to listen to that. I still haven't listened to the last Cradle of Filth album that came out. That came out like 2 months ago, and I still haven't fucking got a chance to listen to it. So yeah, as a Filth fan, I failed straight away. Joey Valence and Bray's album came out in the last month or so. That's fantastic. Has all the stuff that they brought out single wise with a few other tracks on there, but start to finish, just amazing. That they're just so good. And my brother was like, "Oh, dude, they were so sick at the Biscuit show. They supported Biscuit, at that large show they did in London. Yeah, so I was like, did you like him? He's like, dude, they were sick. I was like, I told you they were so good, man. Like, you know, one of my favourite bands I've pretty much ever seen at Download.
And he was at Download. What did he not want to go and see them?
He was seeing someone else at the time. Yeah. But I'm glad that he watched them and he said how amazing they were. He also said that Biscuit were fantastic. I was like, I told you they're still good. He's an old school Biscuit fan like me. So he was like, dude, you know, we've been watching Biscuit since literally 2001. And he's like, they're just as good now as they were then. I'm like, I know. They literally have not missed a step. It's actually insane for a band to be still that good 20 years later, which is mad.
Nice.
But yeah, really good. But apart from that, no new releases. Been a few singles and stuff, but I haven't got anything together to listen to. I think Bush have just released the best of, which I think for someone that might want to get into Bush, that doesn't want to delve into a whole album, the new best of is literally just banger after banger after banger after banger. So if this is a time when you think, oh, that Bush band who released 2 fucking incredible albums in a row recently, maybe I won't want to listen to them. So yeah, the Bush best of's out. That's really good. Oh, and the new Head PE single is wicked.
Ooh,
and they're releasing another one tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. And then I think the album is out at some point, October or November. So something else I'm quite excited about.
Awesome. Cool. Same as you, although I can't pull a load of names out of my head like you just have. There's been loads that I've listened to, nothing that I've written down to talk about. But there's been quite a lot of new stuff recently, hasn't there?
We'll get something together for next episode, and we'll quickly run through some new releases or singles that me and Ad have been listening to before we delve into the albums turning 20. Yeah.
Well, we're only a couple of weeks away from Bring Me the Horizon's new album.
Yeah, that's going to be one.
We should probably do something for that, I think. Maybe an extra episode or a listening party. I think that
maybe
would
a little
awesome.
Bonus full review, or maybe like a listening party
so we can talk about
or
we can
the whole album.
Maybe we can talk about other new releases at the beginning of that.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
something like that. Well, we'll work it out.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Before we get into the main topic this week, though, as well, I just want to give a shout out to James from Taunton. Ridiculous thing happened. I couldn't believe it. It was a few weeks back now, but it was after we recorded the last episode because we recorded it early. But yeah, I was at work. I was walking around delivering to the businesses that I delivered to. I had my little trolley, I think, with me. And the car pulls up to me, and he holds his phone out, and he's listening to one of our episodes. And I stopped to have a chat with him. His name's James. I don't think he said his surname. But yeah, again, that just blew me away. So there's been a few things that have blown me away. One, Asher from last year's download recognizing me just from my voice. There's a few things that they're going to stick with me like for the rest of my life, and like that is one of them as well. Thank you, James. That was so cool of you to do.
Awesome.
Have you had anything like that happen to you? You must have, because you are more recognizable than I am.
Yeah, not out and about.
Okay.
Not out and about, like, yeah, but obviously, you know, at festivals, I mean, I end up speaking to so many people. It's so cool. So many people come up and say, "Oh, dude, man, you know, like your stuff," or like the Download podcast or whatever. So I'm blessed when it comes to that, because I'm always getting recognised at places, to the annoyance of everyone I'm with. But yeah,
fair man. Yeah, but like I said, I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to give James a quick shout. I didn't tell him I was going to do this. So hopefully it's a nice surprise, like it was a nice surprise for me when you drove up next to me. We did have a bit of a chat, and I bullied him into joining the Discord.
Nice.
He did say that he wasn't sure how to do it to start with. So what I'll do, I think I'll put a proper like post out on like social medias and everything, just with a link to join our Discord. If there's anybody else out there who, you know, was thinking about joining but doesn't know how to, and you can't be bothered to look, that's fine. I get that. I do that all the time. I'm like, what's this? I don't care. I don't care as much as I did 5 seconds ago, because it's not as easy as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So yeah, thank you, James. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for stopping me when you did. That was, like I said, that's cool. I remember that for the rest of my life. That's over and out. I don't know.
Over and out. That is a new one. All right, stick that on a t-shirt, everyone. It's a picture of Adam on the front and over and out on the back.
but I can't finish things. I'll probably be like over and over or out and out. And I can't successfully finish things.
Out and out. That's
or start things. We should talk about some albums.
Yes, we probably should.
Yeah. So you sent me a list of 4 albums, and you said, "Oh, these are my 4." So I suddenly thought, I didn't know we were meant to be choosing some each. I don't think I've ever listened to a single album. Oh, okay, but still, that's how I took it, and it's fine. I don't think I'd ever listened to a single album from 1993 before.
Wow.
Before this.
Okay.
So it was quite difficult. I chose some. I said to Simon at the time, I have never listened to these albums. I don't know if there's anything significant about them.
You picked some really good ones.
Yeah, I thought so.
Some good albums.
But so Simon will be leading most of these anyway, because he's you said you got a little bit about what was going on in 1993.
I'm gonna give everyone, like I did last time. So when we done this last year, whichever year we done, so last year it was 1992, 2002, and 2012. I just gave people a little bit of insight into that year, what was happening on TV, movies, you know, general pop culture, so we could get a bit of a feel for the year before we got into these albums. So let me take all of you back to the year. Go on.
Can I just say as well, when I first started looking for albums, I was looking at 1983, and it took a little while to click. That was not 30 years ago.
No, that's scary.
Yeah, it's
that's
scary.
Scary thought. I mean, we don't know. We're only 25, so
yeah,
God knows. We weren't even born. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Right, before I was rudely interrupted.
Wasn't that rude? I put my hand up and everything.
He did put his hand up, to be fair. Right, let me take y'all back to the year of 1993. So anyway, what was happening in 1993? Let's take you back. Okay, so the Princess of Wales, Diana, she claimed she wanted a divorce from Prince Charles. So that stuff was happening within the royal family. This is a crazy one. It was the first year of the National Lottery.
Was it?
Yeah,
I remember
that.
I remember that.
Yeah,
my parents watched it.
It's You,
and I was in
the big. It's You. Yeah.
Because I'm going to stop you here. I'm going to go on a little tangent on the second thing. Like there's all the things that you think only started existing in your lifetime, like McDonald's. I thought that started within my lifetime. Probably like the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is new." It was new to me. Then grew up to find out it's way, way older than me.
Oh yeah, and way older.
So like, there's loads of little things like that you think are like, yeah, you when you find out about them, they're new at that point, but they're not. But but to remember that the National Lottery did actually do that and did come into existence in my life. It's weird to think about.
Well, you think 30 years is such a long time. There's so much stuff that's happened and come in since then, which feels like this sort of stuff's been around forever. Yeah. But the National Lottery has only been around since I mean, that'll feel so long ago to some people. To others, it will feel like, the older people listening to this, it will feel like 1993 was yesterday. Yeah. And the National Lottery has only just begun. But to other people, especially younger people that are listening, you guys would have thought, oh, the National Lottery's been going for... And it's been going for 30 years, which is a long time. But yeah, you think, National Lottery, that must have always been there. But no, apparently before 1983, there was no official National Lottery, which is crazy. So that's really cool. In America, Bill Clinton is sworn into office as the 42nd president of the United States. Yeah. The saxophone playing sex mad weirdo, like a lot of the American presidents. The first clear images from the Hubble telescope are taken. It was actually launched a couple of years before, but there was a misalignment with one of the mirrors. So they'd worked for years on the Hubble telescope, sent it all the way out to, just outside of the Earth, and the images came back blurry. And everyone was pissed. And then they went, we better solve this. So they went up, realised what had happened is one of the mirrors had got warped on the way up. Okay. So they had to go and change the mirror. And then by 1993, they got first clear images of, amazing images of space that we'd never seen before. Yeah. So a lot of the, images that aren't CGI and are real, when you look in all of these astronomy books, are from the Hubble telescope. So it is like it was a really, really big deal in the astronomy community. And to finish off, this was the year that Beanie Babies were released.
I don't know much about them.
Well, Beanie Babies have been a huge collectible for years. They're still making them to this day. I always remember my sister having loads of Beanie Babies, everyone collecting them. But yeah, it's the first year that Beanie Babies were released. So that's just a bit of pop culture things to sort of set the scene for everyone. Notable movies that came out in 1993, some really good ones here. Jurassic Park, of course, an absolute classic movie. Sleepless in Seattle, Demolition Man, Groundhog Day, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Dazed and Confused. So some absolutely stellar films released in 1993. Nice. Obviously, I'm sure everyone's seen Jurassic Park, but it is a really big one. Groundhog Day as well. If you haven't seen that with Bill Murray.
I've never seen it. I really want to.
It's such a good movie, man. Just a guy just repeating the same day over and over again until he actually has to figure out what he's supposed to do to get to the next day. It's great. TV, this is a good one because I've mentioned it a lot on this show. It was the first year that the X-Files aired in 1993.
Nice.
So, yeah, a classic one. And then one for everyone should know, it was the first year that the QVC shopping channel debuted on Sky.
Bloody hell. My mum watches and buys from that way too much.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a classic channel. I always remember my mum watching it. I'm like, are you just watching this shopping channel? They're literally just trying to sell you things. She never bought any of it. We were way too poor to buy anything from it. I think she just liked to watch what they were doing on it. Yeah. But yeah, there's loads of really great YouTube videos. We can go back and watch loads of really old QVC channel bits, and they're really, like, the 90s ones are so cringy. It's great. You need to go back and check them out. In sport, Man United won the first ever season of the Premier League. So 92 to 93 was the first ever season of the Prem. So won by Man United. Arsenal won the FA Cup. They beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 in the final. Linford Christie won the men's 100 metres in 10.26 seconds, which was a record at the time. Yeah. And finally, Michael Jordan left basketball and decided to play baseball instead.
I remember hearing about that, yeah.
It's a bit of an odd choice. But I will say, The Last Dance documentary that's on Netflix, probably the best documentary I've ever watched, sport documentary.
Okay.
I've watched it twice, and I never normally watch documentaries more than once.
Yeah.
But it was so good, like a year later, I just went back and watched it again. It is fucking phenomenal. Like, if you like sports documentaries, you have to watch The Last Dance. All about Michael Jordan's, the last season of the Bulls when they had their like proper incredible team with all the best players. It's really, really great. Definitely go and watch it. And finally, this is going to blow your mind. The cost of living at the time. So petrol per litre was 45.9 pence.
Bloody hell.
A pint of beer would have cost you on average £1.54. A pint of milk would have cost you 34p. A loaf of bread, 75p. A newspaper was around 25 pence. The average house price at the time was about £51,000.
Yeah.
Me and Vicky have bought a house for well over £300,000, so that shows you how much that changed since 1993.
Yeah.
A family car would have set you back about 16,000 brand new, which is really, in inflation, not that much more than you would pay for one now. So yeah, it would have been quite expensive to buy a new car back in the day. The average salary for a person was around £17,000, and inflation at the time was running at 1.59%. So yeah, things were very cheap, what we would consider them to be. But at the time, if the average salary was only 17,000, you could still probably get food for much cheaper, even with inflation, than what it would be today. Yeah. But, house price was good, but stuff like cars and that were still expensive at the time.
What's the average salary now, do you think? I think it's about 29-30.
So the average UK salary now is about 32,000.
Yeah, okay.
Pounds. So 32. So it obviously has...
Almost.
It's doubled, but everything else has got really expensive as well. So yeah, it has, everything's come up. It's all relative to the time. If you were earning, that most people, a lot of people would have been earning a lot less than 17,000. So those prices would have seemed massive even then. So to us now, it seems like it wasn't a lot. But yeah, that's just to set the scene for everyone about what was going on at the time in 1993.
Yeah, I we talked about a little bit about this before recording. And I said I was going to say this. I had a memory come up on my Facebook from 11 years ago when I started Royal Mail. And I said, I've just got my new contract through. I'm on £8.37 an hour. I'm not going to complain about that. And I was chuffed with £8.37 an hour. It was 11 years ago.
I would have been. Yeah.
I don't remember what... See, I don't ever remember it being less than what it is now, really. Like, it just seems... out of this world. Yeah, it seems ridiculous to think.
You were definitely on more than I was then, because I think I was working at CEX in the warehouse at that point, and I would have been on about £5.
Really?
An hour.
Bloody
yeah,
hell.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a good wage.
I knew it was good for really the time, but minimum wage is far more than that now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but just with age and with time, you just forget about these things, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, everything else just gets more and more expensive. If you'd be earning that money now, you'd be fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd barely be able to pay the bills and even eat. So, it just shows you, doesn't it, how crazy time is and how you look at stuff.
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago.
Yeah. Crazy. Wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Well, what albums do we want to start with talking about then?
Well, I mean, I have notes on... I have something to say about all the albums, so I'll start... Should we start with Typo Negative?
Yeah, okay. Oh, you're wearing a T-shirt. Yeah, why not?
Wearing a Typo Negative T-shirt, yeah, of course. So let's start with Typo Negative, Bloody Kisses. Did you listen?
Yes.
What did you think?
I did not like it. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. No, I did... Well, for a start, it's got a weird sex scene at the beginning, right? The sex track.
It does. Yeah.
Is there a story? I didn't check out if there was like a story behind
that. The weird intros on it are... There's one called Dark Side of the Womb, which is just really horrible music with a baby screaming. They just... they just wanted to do really weird intros, and they always have stuff like that. Like they have like footsteps in between the tracks, or like weird sounds, or that's just them doing whatever they want. They're like, yeah. I mean, the beginning of the first album is just like loads of like static, like just shit at the beginning, and then it goes into the track. So yeah,
but I mean,
but Peter Steele was all about that sort of stuff. He would, he admitted that he's well known for being like, he loves women, he loved women, but he loved to worship women. A lot of his songs are about worshipping women, like women are everything.
Yeah.
I want to worship you, I want to be with you and Satan, and I'll get at your feet and do whatever you want and treat you like the best woman ever and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's how he saw women, as like goddesses, basically.
Yeah.
So he always puts in like sexual stuff in all of the albums.
Okay, but I mean, they weren't the only album on this list that we're going to talk about that had something weird at the beginning. And it wasn't two. There was like 3 or 4 of them, I'm sure, had something weird at the beginning and had other weird stuff in the middle of the album. It was just a weird time, 1993, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, so overall, you're going to hear me mention this a lot, because some of the albums we've got on here are considered to be like grunge albums. Other ones are considered to be more metal. But you've got to remember, in 1993... grunge was the biggest. Grunge had blew up massively in the early 90s. So it affected everything. This was, everyone always says grunge killed off metal for a while. It didn't, but it did change the way that metal became, because metal went from being 80s hair metal to being 90s metal, where it had that grunge tone, but everything was really dirty feeling.
Yeah.
Into new metal that came out of that in the mid-90s. So this was a really transitional moment for metal, where everything was just before new metal started. It was just kind of molding into that from grunge.
Yeah.
So you just have to remember that for all these albums. I mean, we'll get to some of them, but they all have a grungy, dirty, ugly sound almost when it comes to heavy guitars and stuff. Really drony and long riffs, and that's just what the metal people were doing at that time. That's just what it was.
Yeah, and I think I read that pop punk was up and coming at this point as well. It was sort of pop punk and new metal came around at sort of the same time. I think that was when Offspring's what's it called, Smash, was that the first one they did?
Yeah, 94.
Yeah,
that was so year after.
Yeah. Okay. See, look at that.
And that ended up being a really big. But if you listen to it, it's very grungy.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, very good. That. I mean, they were going since the 80s, but that 94 album Smash is really good, but it's much more grungy than the stuff that came afterwards.
Yeah.
Once the new metal era had started and pop punk started to take off, yeah, Smash is very grungy with that sort of down-tuned, sort of down-toned bass, with the gaps in the music and stuff. I love Smash. I think it's a great album.
Okay. But yeah, so I was never really much of a fan of grunge for any of the bands, really, to be honest.
Get you.
And as I said earlier, Simon sent me 4 albums before I'd thought about it, and I put them all on, and they were all grunge. And you imagine how happy I was to know I had to listen to these. And do you know what? It reminded me of the singing that... do you remember Shooting Stars? No, was it Shooting Stars? Never Mind the Buzzcocks, where they sing. No, it was Never Mind the Buzzcocks, where he sings, but he's just like not singing properly, and he's like... That's what this reminded me of. I was like, he wasn't taking the piss after all. He was trying to sing grunge.
I would say 2 of these are metal albums, and 2 of them are grunge-y albums. But yeah, I get what you mean. But it was a blanket over everything at the time. But I think going back to this Typo Negative album, it is a goth metal album. Right. There's no doubt about it. But it does have, again, tones of that with the sort of drony guitars and stuff. So it's not a reflection of what grunge was. It's just a reflection of what the time was at the time. But I'll crack on with it, and then you can say some stuff as well. So I'm torn between this, Bloody Kisses, and October Rust, which was 96, being my favourite Typo albums. This album literally captures a perfect feel of what a sludgy goth metal album is. Peter Steele's vocals are absolutely incredible with like weird down baritone voice. Production's great, songwriting stellar, and yeah, I love this album. Like, after the intro, this is a really weird thing to do for a metal album. After the intro, you start with two, in a really weird way. Both songs are super long. Like, Christian Woman is 8 minutes long, and that's the first track on the album. And then Black Number 1 is 11 minutes long, and they're the first two tracks.
Wow.
Like, they're just like, do you know what? We're just going to put these two long songs right at the beginning.
Yeah. I noticed that, actually. I didn't realise how long each song was. But I was listening for ages, and I was like, oh, is it gone on to a new album now or something? And I was like, no, it's track number 4. Shit.
Yeah. So the two, I think, so it starts with the intro, and then it goes into Christian Woman. It's a great opener because the first two tracks are almost like set out like prog tracks. There's a slow bit, a fast bit, a heavy bit, an acoustic bit, and a nice bit in both of those songs. It's almost like they've gone, we're going to tell you what's on this whole album in these first two tracks. We're going to do everything we do on the album, but we're going to do it all in these first two tracks. Like, just, here we go. That's everything you need to know about what you're about to listen to.
Yeah.
So that's it. But yeah, Christian Woman is great. Obviously, that Jesus Christ looks like me. And then it goes to that really disgusting, heavy riff that's just slow and sludgy. And it's so fucking good. Black Number 1, it's awesome. Obviously, the grunge element, not the grunge element, but the dark element with that bass intro. Just that boom, 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 boom. It's very slow and sort of almost played like a grunge track, but almost, in a metal style. So I get what you mean with the sort of grunge overtones with it. But again, it chops and changes. It has slow bits, fast bits. Those first two songs are an absolute journey. Like, they're just incredible from start to finish. But then you've got like crazy tracks in this album, like Kill All the White People is just a punk song with heavy distortion where he's just screaming, kill all the white people. I
did notice that as well, actually. I didn't write it down or anything. I wouldn't have been able to pick that out if I'd looked at the back. But now you've said it, I was like, it did sound so punk. And I think, what track number is that?
I think that's number 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I think 5. Yeah,
maybe it was that point where I was like, this sounds nothing like them. Is this gone to a different band?
Yeah, there's some weird, because they've obviously got a big Misfits influence with the sort of gang vocals and stuff. And when you hear tracks like Kill All the White People, and we'll get to We Hate Everyone, there's a real Misfits. We've just played really slow riffs the whole time, but now we're going to go really fast and play it like a punk song where it's just like go, 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 go. There's a really weird cover on this album with Summer Breeze. Summer Breeze makes me feel fine. But it's slow and horrible and just really gothy and downturned version of it, which is really good. We Hate Everyone, which I've put here, you can literally hear the Misfits goth punk influence because it is just gang vocals, loads of woes, and just played really, really fast on open 0, open 1, 3, open 0, just like a standard Misfit song basically. And then you finish up the album with Can't Lose, which is a really somber, weird way to end the album, considering it was like, you've had all this sort of proggy metal goth stuff at the beginning, then it goes to all this sort of punk stuff, and at the end it has this really weird Can't Lose You, and it finishes with a sitar solo and then just ends. Like the album just goes, no, stops. It just stops. There's no outro, there's nothing. The song just stops. That's the end of the album. So I like this album because they fucked around with it.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck it, we're going to put 2 really long songs at the beginning. We're going to put weird intros with baby screaming that sound like a nightmare. We're going to put women having orgasms on it. We're going to have a song called Kill All the White People. We're going to do a cover of Summer Breeze. And then we're just going to abruptly end the album.
But again, I think a lot of these albums had similar feel. I had a similar feeling of like they were doing what they wanted to do. It seems like they weren't being told what to do by the record label. They were experimenting and just doing whatever the hell they wanted to do.
Yeah, definitely.
More of an artistic time,
Yes. I think at this point, especially bands like Typo Negative, I mean, if a label said you couldn't put this out, they would have said just go fuck yourself or go we'll put it out. Like They didn't want to. And I think as well, because it's a goth metal album and grunge was huge, I think they were just letting metal bands put out what they wanted.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you've got an 8-minute song, then 11-minute song at the beginning of your album. That's fine, I guess. Like, crack on. But I think that's what makes this album so good. So, I mean, if you do like goth metal, or you like that sound, or even that 80s sound, it's got a very 80s low voice. I think it's really, really great. I think it's a really good album worth listening to, especially if you're into any type of metal. But yeah, it's very good. I love that album. I think you would prefer October Rust as an album.
Okay.
It's not as negative feeling as this one.
It has
a
typo
bit
positive.
More, yeah, typo positive. Literally, it really is. Well done. So I think if I played you this, then I played you October Rust. I think you'd like October Rust a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it has very pretty bits in it.
Okay.
Where it has pretty bits, but it's very dirty feeling. It's very grimy.
Yeah.
Kind of feel to it.
What?
So
I think we did a typo negative album in this sort of mini series last year. I don't know which album, but I'm not.
I don't think we did.
Oh, maybe we didn't. You got a perfect memory, and I've got a terrible one. So you're probably right. But I'm sure we talked about it before. And I think before doing this, the only typo negative song I'd ever heard was "I Don't Want to Be," and that's all I'd ever heard of them from them. I didn't know they'd been around for so long. Yeah,
this wasn't even their first album.
No.
They had Origin of Feces before this. And that's even more disgusting than this album is. So. The cover is literally someone's butthole.
Is it?
It's
Nice.
It's someone pulling apart their butt cheeks, and it is someone's arsehole. And it's called The Origin of Feces.
Nice.
So it just shows you this band is just like, we're going to fuck it, man. It's gothy as fuck.
Do whatever we want to do.
Yeah, whatever, mate.
Cool. I'm going to let you lead.
Right, shall we move on?
Yeah, I'm going to let you lead.
Is there one that you want to do, or?
You talk about what albums you want to talk about, and I'll...
Okay, I'm going to talk about one that you recommended, or you said, which is Aerosmith's... Oh, so it's a completely different type of album.
Yeah.
Aerosmith's Get a Grip.
Yeah.
Which, for me, by far is the best Aerosmith album, I think. My mum... I listened to this album a lot as a kid. My mum rinsed this album start to finish a lot in 1993 to like 1998 or whatever.
Yeah.
She listened to it a lot. Did you listen to this one?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this album?
I was surprised at how much I like Aerosmith. I mean, and it's I think it is going to be one of his best albums anyway, and it's got loads of singles on it.
Oh yeah, they released so much from there.
Yeah. But, and did you know it was their 11th studio album? Which is insane.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I know my first knowledge of Aerosmith was Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Oh, no, I probably knew of Walk This Way before that. But I didn't know just how much they have done. And obviously I know they've headlined Download. I know they're massive, but I've just never really got into them. They were never my thing. I didn't think many... sort of people our age go back that far and listen, on their own accord. Like you said, you grew up with it. I didn't think Aerosmith was really a band that people choose to get into. It could be me. It could be what I've experienced in my sort of circles of friends. But yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked them going back to it. Basically,
yeah, I think this is
really.
Like, if I was to recommend anyone to start listening to Aerosmith, I would recommend this album.
Yeah,
because it's just banger after banger.
Yeah.
And they released 1, 2, 3, 4. They released 4 singles from this album.
Yeah, I thought it was more when I went on Wikipedia. Maybe it was maybe 7.
I might be missing one. It might be 5.
Okay,
or it could be more than that. But I'm aware of 4 singles off this that were big songs.
Yeah. So what was it? One was Crazy.
It was Living on the Edge.
Yeah, I knew that one already.
Shut Up and Dance, Crying, and
one.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I knew.
I don't know what else they released. They might have released Get a Grip as well, or Eat the Rich.
They released Eat the Rich.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that'll be the other one.
But yeah, so there were only a few from this album that I knew. But like I said, I did a lot of rambling just then to say not very much. But yeah, I had never considered trying to get into Aerosmith as a band in general. You know, it seemed like an old person's band to me growing up, and that never changed, I guess.
Yeah, I think anyone that's a fan of Wayne's World, a lot of these songs were on the Wayne's World soundtrack, and in the movie Wayne's World 2.
Yeah.
So that, like, for me, I listened to this album a lot, and I was like, oh, sick! A couple of these tracks are on the Wayne's World album, so I digged that at the time as well.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, I really like this album. I can't really put my finger on any other aspects of it. Although is there a weird track of him, of a woman having an orgasm in this one as well?
Yeah, I think there is. Well, there's a bit that has it in. There is, yeah. There is.
Which is
so I just so happened to pick the album afterwards that has a woman orgasm in it as well.
I don't remember any songs, just that. But obviously that was a big thing for bands back in the day. I know of Rocket Queen that has it. That's the only one I already knew of. Now I've heard 2 more this week.
There's probably going to be loads.
There probably is.
Yeah, it's just it's about. I mean, Living on the Edge is a really great song. Shut Up and Dance is one of my favourite. It's just such a good vibe song. Crying is a beautiful ballad.
Yeah.
And Crazy is a beautiful ballad as well. Like, there's just some really, really good stuff on this. Like, if you want to get into Aerosmith, or you've heard some Aerosmith tracks and you think, oh, do you know what? They are good. I would recommend you listen to this album from start to finish. It's very, very good. And it done really well at the time as well. It sold very well.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, you say it's crazy. You know, they were going since the 70s. It was their 11th album, but they just so happened to just absolutely pull a banger.
Yeah. Yeah, that is odd, though, isn't it? To do that on your 11th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that Crying and Crazy got massive, massive play on the radio and music videos as well. Like, those music videos got played for years, even into like early 2000s. They were still on Kerrang and everything. So it just shows you how big those songs actually were.
Yeah.
They lasted for that long.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, really good album, really solid.
Probably do.
Yeah, I think one of them was for a film. They done really well. I mean, they got into Wayne's World. They managed to get their tracks into. You know, people fucking love Aerosmith. So you know, Aerosmith fans are like proper Aerosmith fans. I know Vicky's like a massive Aerosmith fan, so I'm sure she really digs this album as well. But yeah, really good, great album.
Awesome,
loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. There you go. Adam liked an album.
I'm
so
glad.
He's lying because he did like an album from 1993.
Yes,
Aerosmith, get a grip.
There was a couple. There was a couple that I liked. Yeah.
Good. Let's move on, shall we?
Okay.
Let's do. Before I go to the metal one I've got, let's go to the most grunge one that we have. Let's do Nirvana's In Utero, or In Utero, as some people say. In Utero, In Utero.
Yeah.
First of all, do you like Nirvana generally? Is there any Nirvana tracks that you even like? I mean, they've got some absolute bangers. There must be one where you go, do you know what? Yeah, it's all right, actually.
I did like Smells Like Teen Spirit, but it was way overplayed as we were growing up.
Song. Yeah, of course.
It kind of lost its
great track
magic, I guess.
Yeah, bit of a shame. It is it's probably up there with some of the Queen songs and the Beatles songs as like the most overplayed songs of all time.
Yeah.
But it is a great track. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Intro. What did you think?
No, I didn't.
What do you mean no? You can't just say no. Give me your feelings.
My feelings were, in my head, I was screaming, why am I listening to Nirvana? No, I'm joking. It surprised me. It did. I listened to it a couple of times. The first song, I made a point of remembering what it was called, but I can't remember what it was called now. It was S.
Serve the Servants.
Yeah, I knew it was like SS. It gave me I want to say it gave me a Foo Fighters feel, but obviously Foo Fighters were after. I could hear that Foo Fighters had obviously taken some influences from this, and I was surprised because I hadn't heard much Nirvana before. I just always assumed it's all your typical grunge, but it was like a much sort of lighter, brighter song.
Yeah.
And I was surprised myself that I managed to make that connection at the same time, because I didn't particularly like the Foo Fighters.
You've hit the nail on the head there, because that song is very similar to some of the tracks on the first Foos album.
Yeah.
Very nice and sort of light,
Yeah.
It's just nice sort of walk along song with very subtle sort of nicely singing lyrics. You've hit the nail on the head there. I would have said the exact same thing about Serve the Servants.
Yeah.
Very similar to the first. Well, obviously Dave Grohl probably would have taken a lot of what he'd learnt from Kurt and put that into the first Foo Fighters.
And you can't blame him
definitely.
for that. But like I said, it just surprised me. Like I thought it was completely different types of music, and it's like it's surprising to hear. Oh, he did obviously take stuff from Nirvana.
Yeah, definitely influences in there. Anything else you want to say about it?
I didn't like anything else.
Okay. Right. First
Rape
what
Me
I'll
was
say.
a weird song to even listen to because I've said before I listen to music while I'm out in my van at work. I've got the windows down a little bit. Rape Me was on, and I was like, "This is a bit weird. I don't really want people knowing I'm listening to this song."
Rape me, my friend. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
It's out of the 3 Nirvana albums, it's my least favourite one. Not that it's a bad album by any stretch of the means. It's good, but I like Bleach and Nevermind way more than I like this album.
Okay.
I think Bleach is brilliant, fantastically heavy, just fucking mad, and then Nevermind is one of the greatest albums ever made, in my opinion. So this one has always been the sort of black sheep of the family for me when it comes to the Nirvana albums, but I still really like it. Like I hadn't listened to it in quite some time, and I forgot. Like I've put Serve the Servants is a great opening track, because you're expecting it to come out all bombastic and heavy, but it does the complete opposite. It's nice and light. It's just really sing-alongy, kind of nice vibes. Sentenced Apprentice is great as well. It's just so dirty with lots of distortion and weird sounds. Heart-Shaped Box, probably one of the best Nirvana singles out of all of them, I would say. It's a fucking great song. Francis Farmer's great. Dumb's great. Penna Royalty is amazing. Tourette's is an absolutely filthy track. It sounds like it should have been on Bleach because it's that more heavy, just disgusting sound. And then ending the album, with All Apologies, which is a nice somber way to sort of end the album. I think it's a great way to end. I really, really like this album. It was not that I ever thought it was bad, but I listened to it twice. I liked it a lot more than I did 10 years ago.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have stuck it on. Now I think I would have put the singles on, but now I think I would stick the whole album on and think, do you know what? I quite like this album. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's got some weird moments on it. It's got some moments of him just ferociously screaming, and there's not really anything happening on the guitar. I think when it comes to Kurt Cobain, we all know he's not the best guitar player ever. We all know Chris Novoselic is a shit-hot bass player, and Dave Grohl is fucking amazing. Their rhythm section is incredible. But Kurt Cobain wrote really fucking good songs, and that's really what matters, I think. We were talking about Blink-182. They're by far way down the list when it comes to actually being great musicians.
Yeah.
Bar Travis Barker, who is an incredible drummer. Yeah. But they write really good, catchy songs. And sometimes that's all you need to do is just be a really good songwriter. And I think that's what Nirvana as a trio were. I know for this they were a 4-piece, and they did have another guitarist like they did on Bleach when they were a 4-piece as well. But yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it much better, much more than I did, even 5 to 10 years ago. So I was very surprised about how much I actually enjoyed it, and I was surprised that you didn't enjoy it more.
I've never been a fan of Nirvana. I probably went into it not wanting to like it. I'd like to listen to Bleach or Nevermind with you. Okay. And see if you like those way more than you like this. Yeah. Because, like I said, my least favourite Nirvana album, by quite a way. It's not a bad album, but the other two are way better, I think. Much better songs, heavier parts, just better, I think. But I know for a fact this is some people's favourite Nirvana album, which is fine. But I know people that had entire walls covered with the giant poster. My friend Dave, growing up, his brother was like the cool guy that liked all the cool music. So we used to go bunk off at his house, and we walked into his brother's room, and he had a floor-to-ceiling in Utero poster that had the full covering the whole wall. Nice. And he was playing like Incubus and all this sorts of crazy shit, and we were like, this guy's the fucking coolest guy.
ever. We thought his brother was so cool. He was a drummer as well, I remember.
Yeah.
He had like a drum kit in his room. But yeah, that's what just makes me think of this album. But yeah, good. I enjoyed it much more than I thought.
Awesome. Yeah.
Just
going back to,
go on.
like I said, I have never liked. Well, I've already just said I was never that into grunge, and I probably should have gone into this a little bit more open-minded. I'm not saying I didn't go into it open-minded at all. I did, probably more than I would have done in the past. But yeah, I struggled to get to the end of a lot of these albums because I just didn't want to be listening to them. And I think that's fine. It's not as bad as it might sound coming. It sounds really bad as I'm saying it in my own head. I'm like, this sounds worse than it should be. But yeah.
No, I get you. I'm with you totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. Good album. I recommend, if you haven't heard it, go and have a listen. There might be something on there that you really like. There's some great songs on it, so go check it out. Should we talk about Rush?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about Rush, Counterparts.
Yeah. So,
have you listened to Rush before? Are you a Rush fan?
I do like Rush. I've never listened to a whole album before, but I've liked some of the... No, I might have listened to 2112 before, but that's about as far as I would have got if I have at all.
Okay.
Obviously, the singles that everyone knows, Spirit of the Radio, was that on 2112? I'm not sure.
Might have been after, I think.
But yes, not very much. But I did read, obviously I said Aerosmith, it was Aerosmith's 11th studio album. This was their 15th studio album.
Yeah, Rush made a lot of albums.
Yeah, crazy.
A hell of a lot of albums. I mean, like, as musicians, they're all unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable guitarist, unbelievable bassist, fucking great singer, and just mad drummer. So I think they were just people that were just like, let's just write a track. Oh, actually, let's just write 11 tracks.
Let's
just release an album. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're that good. They're that musically in sync. I think they just are one of those people that those bands that just constantly pushed out albums because they just loved making music.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one though because they had their early stuff, which was really proggy, radio friendly but weird prog stuff, and then in the mid to late 80s they started to delve into putting like synthesizers and electronics, and some people consider that to be the worst version of Rush. I quite like some of those albums, and they'd come out of that. And the weird thing about this album is there are songs on here that just sound like Alice in Chains tracks.
Okay.
But they're Rush songs.
Yeah.
Like, this is really weird album because one song will sound like a Rush song, and the next album will sound like an Alice in Chains song, but with Rush vocals.
Right.
And then the next track will sound like a Rush song, and then the next one will sound nothing like any of those things, and then the next track will sound like a Rush song. I thought this album was like a weird, eclectic mix of stuff compared to other Rush albums that I've listened to.
Yeah.
Like, very just strange. Like, the opener, Anime, is really good. Like, I've put that onto a playlist. I like that song so much.
Yeah.
But it's so grungy. It's so grungy for Rush. Like, I didn't think, because I haven't listened to anything from this period of Rush, I didn't think they'd make anything that sounded that much of its time. I thought that Rush were like Maiden, where they just make Maiden tracks.
Yeah,
there are slight differences between eras, but a Maiden track sounds like a Maiden track. And I thought that's what Rush were until I listened to this album and realised how influenced it is by the time, which I was quite taken back by. I was like, this sounds like a fucking Alice in Chains track. What is going on here? It's not, it's Rush. So that was really strange for me. But yeah, it's proof that, even bands like Rush that are, proggy and crazy had been influenced by what had happened a few years before and what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
Which is actually crazy. I mean, I don't have anything to say individually about tracks. I think Stick It Out was quite a weird, different track that sounded like other Rush tracks, but then the next track just sounded completely different. So it's a very eclectic mix of stuff, but overall, I quite enjoyed the album. I thought it was good. What did you think in total?
Yeah, I like I said, I hadn't actually listened to any Rush, not properly, not like obviously.
You still haven't, because this isn't a Rush album. It's a very strange. I could send you a Rush album that all sounded like Rush, but this doesn't.
Yeah,
which is
weird.
I
mean, to me, I would have said, "Oh, yeah, it sounds like Rush," because I don't know them well enough, I guess. Then, but yeah, as I was listening to it, I can't pick out any song titles or say anything about the individual tracks like you do very well because I listen to it at work. So, like I said, but yeah, I was surprised that it's their 15th album, and I just thought it sounded like Rush, and honestly, I thought their sound. I don't think their sound has aged very well. Listening to this is what I was thinking. Bands like, I think you said before, Queen and Michael Jackson, their sound is timeless. It will sound good whenever you listen to it, but I didn't think it sounded very good. And I'm not sure why. Okay. I don't really know why.
It's a weird, I think, I'm sure other much bigger Rush fans might say differently, but I think this would be a really weird place to start listening to Rush.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't think this gives you an overview of what it does. Let you know what they are, but I don't think it gives you like a full overview of what Rush is. Although it has lots of very Rush songs throughout it.
Yeah, maybe it was those I was hearing. I haven't actually listened to really anything by Alice in Chains.
Yeah. But if I was to play you an Alice in Chains track, and then I was to play you Animate, if I took the vocals out of both of those tracks, you would say they were from the same album.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, bar a few little bits that are Rushy.
Yeah.
The main bit of the song is sort of crafted very un-Rush-like. That's just what I think. Other Rush fans might tell me different. But again, it just shows you how these musicians are so good that they can just go, we're just going to play this song that sounds like an Alice in Chains track. Like, fuck it. We can do whatever we want, which is cool. And I think we said before, this speaks for all these albums. People were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted in 1993, man.
Yeah.
They were just doing whatever they wanted. We want to do this? Let's do it. Why not? Do you know what I mean? I think that's good for the actual year's music. But yeah, won't stay too long on that one. But yeah,
I think overall, I
enjoyed it.
My opinion of it. Oh, sorry. Cut you off. I didn't want you to move on before I got to say any more.
Just saying I enjoyed it. It was strange, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed it too. What I heard I enjoyed. I've never listened to a Rush song and thought I don't like that. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it. It did just sound like a lot of Rush stuff, Rush songs to me. I'm going to say similar about Helloween in a minute. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And obviously you can tell they're fantastic at what they do. All of the musicians, fantastic what they do as musicians, all of them. Just technically brilliant. But I couldn't have picked out anything and gone, that is a hit single and that one isn't, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Get you. Okay, that's cool. Let's move on. Let's move on to Life of Agony, River Runs Red.
Can we do this one? This is what I've got probably the most to say about. I like this one. Did you want to do this one last?
Well, we'll do this one now.
Do it now then.
Okay, we won't do it now. We won't do it now then. We'll get to that one in a second. We'll do one more first. We'll do Smashing Pumpkins next.
Okay.
So Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream.
Yes, I didn't.
You listened.
I did.
What did you think?
I didn't really like Smashing Pumpkins either.
No, not at all.
Not really.
There's nothing on here that you liked.
No.
It's a fucking really great album.
No.
Nothing.
I mean, I know the second song. Was it Lust or Life or Host or what's this?
I can't remember what the second track
Sleep
was.
Or the one they released from it yesterday, tomorrow, 3 hours from now.
That's not track 2.
What is it? Track 3?
Track 2's Quiet. You mean Today?
Today. I almost got there.
Almost. You're one out. One out.
Okay, no, that's a bit harsh. I did like some of the songs. I can't pinpoint which ones they were at the minute. I should have been writing these down. I did. So I just said about Life of Agony. It was one of the first albums I listened to, and I did write a lot about that one down. But going through the rest of them, I couldn't pick out a lot to write down, including this one. There were some bits I liked about it. Some I wasn't that fussed about.
Okay. Well, I'll go into it though. So I think the whole album itself has such a good feel. Like, it's such a fucking great album. Great production. Everything on it sounds great. Has a grunge edge to it, which it does. But also has a lot of sort of more proggy elements and does get quite heavy in places. Start to finish, this is an absolute banger, I think. Cherub Rock is a fantastic opener. Straight into heavy. Let's just go have some great riffs. Rocket. Today is an absolutely beautiful track. As soon as he says those first lines, today is the greatest day I've ever known, it's just like, this song's fucking awesome. Straight away. Like, yes. Disarm, another beautifully crafted, just amazing track. Proves how much of a good songwriter Billy Corgan really is. That song gives me the feels big time. Like that song, I'm like, oh, I feel something for this song. Soma's great. Mayonnaise, one of my favourite Smashing Pumpkins tunes. And Silverfuck as well is another great heavy song. I love this album. I think it's beautiful. I think it really is just gorgeous. The lyrics are fantastic. The riffs are great. The guitar playing's brilliant. His vocals are amazing. I couldn't say enough good things about this album. I'm surprised. Well, I know that you liked bits of it, but I thought more of this would stand out to you than some of the albums that we listened to previously.
No, I don't.
Just because of how well the songs are written, how good it sounds to this day. Like, I put on the original version, not the remastered one. It fucking sounds great.
Okay.
It sounds really good. Like, it really does hold up to being a really good sounding album.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Smashing Pumpkins fan, so I already know what they're about. I like that sound. I like the grunge edge, but it's a little bit more proggy in places. I like that they do loads of slow, somber, sort of sad tracks. I like that about them.
Yeah.
But obviously going into that, obviously I'm way more into the band than you are. So I can see why you didn't get as much from this album that someone else would get. But I still think that if you wanted to listen to Smashing Pumpkins, this might be a good place for someone to start.
Okay.
Just because it's got so many good singles that were released throughout it.
Yeah.
But again, a very grunge sounding, very of the time sort of sounding album. Not production wise it sounds great, but the way it's put together and the songs themselves are very 90s.
Yeah. So I think today, that was one of the ones that was on all the time on like Kerrang and Scuzz, wasn't it? And
oh my God, they played that song so much.
Yeah, I wasn't bothered about it then, and that was sort of being forced to listen to it because they were choosing to put it on my TV.
Yeah.
But when I was, I guess, choosing to listen to it for this, I liked it more, I think. I think that's the reason why I liked it. I had paid attention to it a bit more, and I was like, right, I'm listening to this because I'm choosing to, not because it's being thrown at me and I hate it straight away.
Yeah, no one's shoving it down your throat and going, here, listen to this track.
And so, I think I surprised myself at how much I liked that song. A few more listens, maybe I will get into it a bit more. But yeah,
definitely. I'm glad you enjoyed at least that track because it's a fucking great track.
There were definitely a couple others as well that I was after a couple of listens. I didn't listen to it very much. After a couple of listens, I was like, do you know what, that sounds all right actually as well. But I can't pick up every single little detail on the first listen like you do.
Well, I have listened to this album multiple times,
yeah.
so that's a bit different, isn't it? It's like I understand the album and stuff. So, but yeah, okay, well, great, yeah. So, but if you're a Smashing Pumpkins fan, go listen to Siamese Dream from another Smashing Pumpkins fan. It's great. Right, let's get one for Adam. Adam will tell me about this album. Let's go with Helloween.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to do Life of Agony.
Now you can lead on this one because Adam has talked about Helloween quite a lot on this podcast, and he is a big Helloween fan.
Not huge. There are bigger Helloween fans than
definitely
me.
A fan.
Yeah,
definitely a fan.
Okay. So I had never listened to this album though. Helloween have got a lot of albums. It's weird. I did class myself as a fan of them. I listened to Keeper of the Seven Keys 1 and 2. Which I believe is their like second and third albums. I hadn't listened to the first album, which I didn't realise I'd not listened to the first album, so I need to go listen to that. They have one after those two. I'm sure you've heard of The Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And they were massive, and I don't think they've ever really
they're the ones that I know are the most popular by far.
We listened to Chameleon, which...
we did.
Was I think from the top, I didn't write notes. From the top of my head was like their fifth studio album, and I think they were going through a bit of a troubling time at the time. There was 20 songs on it, so I never listened to the whole thing. I think I must have only got to about 10 or 11, maybe 12, and gone, I ain't fucking listening to the rest of that. It's a long album, and I think it is their least popular album or commercially did the least well. I can't think of the fucking words right now. did the worst. It's like the worst selling album of all time.
Like we were saying though, this was a dark time for that kind of metal slash sort of classic-y rock stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it was very. People considered it to be less than stuff at the time. It'd come out of the 80s, and as soon as the 90s started, early 90s was fine, but we started to get to the mid 90s, and everyone just went, "No, this isn't. We don't like this."
Yeah,
the cover's weird.
It is weird for the rest of their stuff. Yeah,
yeah. Like I was looking through it, and I was like, I what I know of Helloween is I know that they always have these crazy, insane covers.
Yeah,
and
like fantasy.
I was like, okay,
style.
He sent me it, and I was like, okay, we'll have a look. And I went, oh, it's white, and it's got yellow and red and blue things on it. This is fucking weird. It really stands out in their discography of throughout the stuff. So I thought, okay, yeah, it looks completely different. So this is the first Helloween album I've ever listened to. So for me, I'm going in on a completely different level you are. It was what I was expecting it to sound like, but I enjoyed it. But I was like, I can tell this isn't the best stuff that they've got.
Okay.
Like, I thought some of the solos were great. I thought some of the vocals were great. I thought that it had bits of it where I'm like, this is good, but I know for a fact this band has better albums than this.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got from it. Like you said, it was a bit of a troubling time. And I feel like it was just like, I don't want to say standard, because that's not what I'm saying, but I feel like I listened to it and it's given me a taste where I want to go and listen to other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I want the best of what they've done.
Yeah.
And I felt like this wasn't that, even without listening to the rest of the stuff, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. Sound-wise, to me, it was exactly the same as what I said about with Rush. It was nothing spectacular. It just sounded like typical Helloween stuff to me. I know, 3, maybe 4 of their albums, plus some of their sort of compilation albums, the best of. But I didn't hear anything particularly bad about it either. But like I was saying, the reason why it's got 20 songs is because some of the members were wanting to go in different directions. So they had 3 people writing songs on their own. They weren't writing together. Okay. So it's basically 3 people writing solo out, like the personal albums. And they all wanted to put their stuff on the album. And because of the success they had before that with Keeper of the 7 Keys 1 and 2, the record label went, do whatever you want. You do whatever you want, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've sort of learned since about this album. I didn't finish it, but there was nothing bad about it. It was just okay. I guess for a lot of people at the time, coming out of those years where you had Keeper of the 7 Keys 1 and 2, they wanted a spectacular album again, and people were just disappointed by it maybe, but it's different when you go back and listen from now, I think.
Yeah, gives you a different overview of it. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought there's elements here that I really like. I was like, yeah, cool. Like the vocals, guitars sound great, really good. There's something here. There's something here that I can get into, but I don't think this album was it.
No. So yeah, I would definitely recommend The Keeper of the 7 Keys parts 1 and 2. I think they're doing a third one now, and I haven't listened to that one. I think I skipped a lot of other albums, even though I own some of them. I just never. I think I've got The Dark Ride, and I listened to it, and I couldn't get into it. But I did get into. So they were released in like the early 80s, I believe, those two, and I got into My God-Given Right, which was something like 2015. So I took about a 30-year gap from them, and I fucking loved that album. There's probably loads of other albums that I'd really like. It's just taking the time to listen to them and
there must be in there an album. Yeah, there must be an album in there that's like fucking great as well.
Yeah,
within all those albums, surely.
Yeah, I think they did another album called 7 Sins or 7 Sinners, and the cover is like this really cool bladed wheel, and it's like, oh, they sort of become modern sort of thing. It's like like a drawn, it's like artistic bladed wheel, not a photo, if that makes sense. And I was like, yeah, it seems like they've sort of gone away from the fantasy and they're trying to be a bit more modern. And I think I listened to it and I wasn't that keen. I was like, this is not what I was hoping. It's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for all of a sudden, for the having the hype about the new album, My God-Given Right, and then get into it and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. So yeah, if there's anybody else, anybody in Discord who are bigger fans of Helloween than we are, we'd love to have some more recommendations. I consider myself a fan, but there's just so much there that for me to choose to go to next.
Well, I'm gonna listen to Keeper of Seven Keys.
Yeah.
Because what one would you recommend? Part 1 or part 2 to start with?
Most people say part 1, I think, but I think I prefer part 2.
Okay.
But yeah, both.
Because I want to delve. It's made me, look into the window and go, oh, there's something there that I like.
Yeah.
I want to go and listen to something else. So I'm going to listen to one of those albums, and I'm sure I will fucking enjoy them. Not that I didn't enjoy this album, but if it's something that everyone recognizes as their best albums, I'm going to go check it out and see what the best can be.
Yeah.
Not that this was bad by any stretch of means, but like you said, it's a little bit paint by numbers, and it's so long. It's so you could have turned this into. I mean, it looks like from that, because they changed the numbers, that if it would have come out on vinyl at the time and tape and that, it would have been a fucking 4-taper. There's no way you're getting that on 2 sides of a tape.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a double vinyl as well, I would have thought, with those sorts of tracks. So I'll be interested to see what the vinyl version of it's like. If it's a double vinyl,
yeah,
I would assume it is, but.
No, it's got like 4 colours on the cover, hasn't it? 1 cover per side of vinyl.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I'll be interested. I mean, it's got me interested, ready to listen to more Helloween.
I thought you would be,
yeah.
and how gutted would you have been if you didn't watch them at Bloodstock if they didn't pull out as well? I've been telling you to listen to them for ages.
I was going to watch them regardless, but I was definitely going to watch them because of your recommendation, and I knew how much you liked them. I wouldn't have missed them, dude.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have missed them if they would have played.
Cool.
Definitely would have watched them.
Another album, quickly going off, another album I'm curious if you've listened to is Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime.
No.
Okay.
But I've seen that album so many places.
Yeah.
And so many people fucking love that album. It's got to be one that at some point I've got to get around to listening to.
Yeah. I don't know when it was released. I don't know if we can use it in this at some point.
It was 80s. It was 80s.
Was it?
Definitely 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, some point in the 80s. Don't ask me when, but yeah, definitely some point in the 80s.
Because I think I got it when I was growing up, when I was into Iron Maiden and Helloween, like originally. I think I must have got it from like a dodgy car boot guy.
Let me see when that was. Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. So yeah, 1988.
88.
So 5 years before, yeah. But I know a lot of people going on about how good that album is.
Yeah, that's the only album of theirs that I've listened to. But I remember saying at the time, Iron Maiden and Helloween sound a lot like each other. Helloween and Queensryche sound a lot like each other. Iron Maiden and Queensryche sound nothing like each other, which is weird.
That's the transition. That's the transition.
I haven't said that for a long time. I haven't heard that Queensryche album for a long time. I could have been right with saying that, but I can't say that with any. I can't back that up at the moment by saying I was right.
I can't disagree with you because I haven't listened to the Queensryche album or the first couple of Helloween ones, so I will listen to them and then see.
Yeah,
I'm sure you are, but yeah, I'll listen to them and see if you're right, because if anyone's normally right about Maiden, it's you.
Yeah, right. How can they all be similar, but Queensryche and Iron Maiden have nothing? They sound nothing alike, but they are very good. That album is very, very good.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to that one at some point and hopefully figure out what the crack is.
Awesome.
But yeah, okay. Shall we talk? We'll save Life of Agony for last. So let's talk about the second to last album. Let's talk about Tool, Undertow.
Yeah. So when I found this, I wasn't aware that this was their first ever album.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they went back that far. And I've said on the show many times before, I was never into Tool. The only song I knew of theirs growing up was Schism, and I thought it was a bit weird. I didn't enjoy it.
Very weird.
But listening to this album, I could see why a lot of people got into them in the first place.
Definitely.
I really quite liked it.
Yeah, I'd heard Sober, the track, because that's quite a big track of theirs that had been released from this, but I hadn't listened to, I think maybe Crawl Away I'd heard, but I hadn't heard anything else from this album. I like Tool as well.
Yeah.
I like Tool. I think Lateralis is fucking mind-blowing album. Brilliant all the way through. There are other stuff I pick from I didn't. There's no album of theirs that I love. I know everyone goes on about how good 10,000 Days is. I probably need to listen to that one more. At the time, everyone went on about so much it annoyed me, and I didn't end up going back to listen to it.
Right.
But I need to listen to that because my friend Aston, who I was really close with, like early 2010s, he fucking absolutely loved Tool. And he was always banging on about how good 10,000 Days was, so I need to go back to that. But I was, not surprised that I liked this album so much, but I knew it was good. One thing I'll say about it is the production is very dated.
Okay.
It doesn't sound half as good as their other albums, production-wise. Sounds like an album made in 1993. But the song crafting is still really, really, really good Tool songs. So, I really enjoyed this, and I will pick from it. I didn't like every track, but there will be bits that I will pick out and go, like that track, I liked that track, I like that one. So if I was to make like a Tool playlist, there would be quite a few songs in this album that I would put on it. Not necessarily the whole album.
Awesome.
But how are you with, like, when we've talked about music, you're not that much of a prog guy. So how did you find those kind of elements of it with the weird sort of, palm muting parts and the weird sort of time changes, and his vocals were always sometimes quite disjointed from the rest of the track?
Yeah. I think I quite like that. I can't say I picked that out by ear and then went, oh, I know what that is. Do I like it or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it as weird as some of the other stuff, or was this quite normal compared to?
I'd say it's quite normal sort of Tool stuff. Like they do tend to do. They've done a lot weirder stuff than this.
Yeah.
But they are written just like weird Tool songs, basically. So it's still a good Tool album. Yeah. Basically.
Like I said, I can't say I picked out any of those bits or what they were. I just listened to it through. I think I listened to it through this one once, and I surprised myself at like how much I liked it. And it would make me go and listen to some more Tool. I've said that I want to listen to some more Tool anyway. For a long time now. But I think after listening to this, I will.
Yeah, I think if you listen to Lateralis, you would really fucking like Tool.
Okay.
Like I think that album is their pinnacle, but people say 10,000 Days possibly. They thought that Fear Inoculum, I think, was the one they done in 2019. They said that was really good. I haven't listened to that at all. But yeah, I think if you liked this, listen to Lateralis, I think you'll become a Tool fan.
Okay.
Because they're just much better production, little bit better crafting, fucking vocals are unbelievable.
I'm going to search for that now.
And that's got your Schism track on it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's really good. Which is, do you know what? I'm surprised about that, because we've talked about bands that do the sort of slow build-up tracks where you don't get everything front and center.
Yeah.
That's not normally the stuff that you like, which is why it's so surprising that you like this very proggy, weird album, which I'm quite surprised about.
I think I went into it expecting something different. That's why I asked if it was what they would normally do. So, like, I think it took me by surprise a little bit to start with, and then I sort of started thinking about it a little bit more. I think that's maybe like it, because it does depend on what mood you're in, whether you like something or not. Like, I was never going to like Nirvana. Sorry, I should stop making those jokes. They're probably a bit old now.
It's not a joke. You can like what you like, dude. Just because I like something, other people, it doesn't mean you have to like it.
Yeah, but
not forcing you to like these things if you don't like them.
But there's no need for me to be stomping on Nirvana.
No.
I think it'll be funny, but as soon as it starts coming out of my mouth, I'm like, people are probably bored
Dude,
of you saying
you can
this.
stomp on them as much as you like. They're one of the biggest bands of all time. I don't really think it's going to affect them that much.
Yeah, true. I'm looking for an album anyway. Lateralis. Okay, middle one. I'll listen to that.
That's an album. That is an album, mate. Oh, God. I might have to listen to that tomorrow.
Okay.
Banger.
What was the 2019
Banger.
album? Like, I noticed as I was going through these the other day. Like
I said, it's the only one I haven't listened to.
Okay. Like, yeah. It had like a 13-year gap. It's crazy. But yes, Okay, have we got one album left?
We do, indeed. We have. Right, we shall move on to our last album, which is Life of Agony's River Runs Red.
I've played this one up and I've said, right, I've got lots to talk about of this. It's going to be interesting. I haven't listened to this for like 2 weeks, so I bet I'm about to read my notes. The only one I actually made notes on as well. And I bet I read them and go, that's a load of bollocks. Why? I've just made this sound like it's going to be amazing.
Let's go through your notes then. So, is there an overall? What did you think?
No, I didn't like it to start with. I did not like it to start with. I think I must have listened to it twice. Maybe it was even twice in a row. This one to start with, because it was one of the first albums I listened to. I didn't like it, and then as I was going through, I started to like it a bit more, and I started to understand it a bit more. I sort of got it a bit more. Not saying I particularly liked it that much, but I didn't dislike it. And that's why I thought I'll make some notes. And because I had notes, I was like, I don't need to listen to this one again. I need to listen to the rest to try and get opinions on the other one. So I haven't listened to it for like 2 weeks. So this could all be rubbish. But what I've got down here is I think the guitars sound kind of similar to Queen and Black Sabbath. Do they have like Queen and Black Sabbath influences in this one?
The Sabbathy sludgy, I get. There's a lot of 90s sludge on this album.
Yeah.
A lot of palm muting, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so I get that bit. Not sure about the Queen bit, but...
Maybe it's just like the guitar tone that he used, I think. Maybe not like the style of playing, like guitar tone. And I think, didn't you say somebody else had that in this list? I think we talked about that before. And I can kind of get it, because Queen were like... I don't know when Queen started, the 80s, but like a lot of the people maybe growing up would have looked up to Queen and gone, that's brilliant. I want that tone. I want that guitar tone.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I've also got, it was the early 90s. It was pre-internet. I can understand everyone was just miserable. Yeah, I think I said that because of his vocals. I think, like I said, all the albums that you sent me, the 4 albums, the vocals were very sort of slow and drony. And I didn't like that about this to start with. And I thought people probably would have been out with each other a lot. Because it was pre-internet, without joking about that bit. It would have gone out a lot, and you probably wouldn't hear this kind of thing at parties. Like people, I don't know. I was like 7 at this point. I would assume this kind of thing.
Probably.
I don't know why I wrote that down. I'm trying to piece it together. I wrote down like probably not the sort of thing you would play at parties, and I had a reason for writing that down, but I don't know what it was now. I'm sorry. Okay. It was like 2 weeks ago. I was trying to get something. But yeah, I enjoyed it once I got past the vocals. Like it was, like I said, it was a bit drony, a bit grungy vocals. It is what I thought.
Well, I have a note here actually about the vocals. So Keith's vocals are like, he's got a strange baritone sort of voice. It's very low, but then he can go high in places.
Okay.
And it takes a while to get on board with his vocals.
Yeah.
But once you get on board, you realise the vocals are really good.
Yeah.
But it takes a while. You're like, that's strange. I've never actually heard anyone who sounds like this before. And then you're like, okay. And you're like, actually... no, that's quite good. I quite like it. So I see that. I wrote that down.
The nail on the head there. Exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like,
once I get used to
it.
A
weird sounding vocal. And then you're like, actually, it fits and sounds good.
Yeah. And I think it was like quite upbeat and groovy in some places I've written.
Very groovy. Proper. There are shades of like real groove sludge metal on this album. And actually, I'll go back to what you said about everyone sort of feeling a bit like shit, because the day of the week interludes on this album, the weird interludes where you hear people talking, it's an album about someone struggling with like an abusive relationship or a failed relationship, like possibly having abusive parents or having a relationship that's abusive. And the songs themselves have a very hardcore, we're all together, let's do something about it, let's get through. It's all about this time. It's all about now. Let's do it together kind of vibe. So it's kind of like trying to come out of something that's negative and trying to make positives out of it. So I like the way that you picked up on that about the album, because that is a lot of the sort of stuff that he's singing about on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that totally. I get the same with the vocals. I mean, I think this is a fucking great album. The guitars are fantastic. The sound is great. The riffs are fantastic. His vocals, once you get used to them, are brilliant. Like I said, it has that sort of... It has early touches of new metal. It's got metal and hardcore, but then you listen to some of the bits and you're like, that's just what people were making like 5 years later when they were making new metal stuff.
Yeah.
Like, has that in it. The standout tracks for me this time is a fucking great opener. River Runs Red. Through and through, I can't stand still to that song.
Nice.
I have to. I want to trash everything in the room and jump around with people at a gig whenever I hear that song. I literally just want to fucking jump and just bounce and trash everything because it's just such a great song. The time changes in this album where they speed things up and slow them down are so good. The song Bad Seed has one of my favourite time changes of all time, where the riff starts on like a keyboard and then it has that down, 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 and it's like slow down, 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 and you're like, fucking hell, you've just gone like double time from the intro, and you're like, fuck, that makes me want to jump up and down, and then it slows right down, and dun 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 dun, and it goes back to that sludgy sort of disgusting. I fucking love Life of Agony, and I love this album so much because they're so weird. The singer's weird. He's got a weird voice. They're not sure if they're metal or hardcore. Then some of the albums they done after this are still fantastic, but it just goes into like other stuff. Like we were saying the same thing about the Typo Negative. These bands were just making whatever music they wanted to make.
Yeah.
They were just like, fuck it. This is the band we are, and we're just going to make loads of tunes and stick them on an album. And that, again, that has this feel of this is the album they wanted to make, and it's the album that got put out, which is why I like it so much. But I do like, I think if you go into this album and you think about struggles and wanting to get out and be more positive about stuff, and then you listen to the tracks, and when those disgusting bits kick in and you listen to the actual lyrics that he's singing, I think you will really enjoy this album like a lot more. And especially for those, if you listen for those great little time changes and they speed riffs up and they slow them down. I don't really think a lot of people were doing that at this time because it's not a prog album, yet they're playing riffs at different speeds. Okay. But it doesn't feel proggy. It still feels like a metal album, which is really odd. So it's a bit of an anomaly when it comes to that. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it the second time round.
Yeah.
Because I think the third time round, you will enjoy it even more. Yeah. It's a grower. You listen to it, you think, listen to it again. I like that. And then you'll just be like, well, fuck it. I want to go listen to some more fucking Life of Agony because it sounds great.
Yeah. Oh, and it's that I noticed that I liked it. Some things, like that are growers, you'll listen to it 5-6 times and still not like it. And then the 7th time you'll be like, oh, hang on, this I understand how this is brilliant now. But this is like, it's a gradual thing, and I surprised myself that I actually really liked it the second time through.
Well, they were supposed to play Bloodstock this year and they pulled out.
Oh, were they?
Really sucked. Yeah.
See, they're not a band that I can really say I know much of them. I think there was one song that, again, used to be on Scuzz and Kerrang. That's about the only way I had my music at the time. And I really liked that one song, but I don't remember what it was.
That would have been from Broken Valley. Love to Let You Down, it would have been.
Yes, it was.
Which is a big track. I'll say as well, like, they're pretty consistent with their albums. Like, I didn't like the one after this, Ugly. I thought that was a good album, but I thought Soul Searching Sun was fucking great. And then they went for ages and didn't make an album. And then they came back in 2005 with Broken Valley, and it's so good all the way through.
Okay.
Like, yeah, they're a very interesting band. I think their best of, by the way, right? The 2003 best of, the Best of Life of Agony. I listened to that CD so much, I don't think the CD worked.
Really?
Again, it was when, because they were on Roadrunner. So again, this is a Roadrunner album, dude.
Yeah.
This is
wow.
They were one of the pioneers on the early Roadrunner albums. Like this was the setting before nu metal came in when Roadrunner went, nuclear. But they were one of the bands keeping Roadrunner going. And that Roadrunner Best of Life of Agony 2003 compilation is so good. I wore it out. It probably doesn't even play anymore. But that gives you like a really good sort of understanding of what the band are. But yeah, I think they're very interesting. I think if you like hardcore, I think this would be a very interesting listen because it's almost straight down the middle, a half metal, half hardcore album. Because it has those gang vocals, togetherness, let's all do this together and be positive about stuff, hardcore stuff. But then it has the metal, I'm so broken inside, please someone help me stuff, but all put together in the same can.
Yeah.
So, but I think that bit of it is, because, new metal was fuck my parents, fuck everyone, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And I literally think that this album has the seeds of that. It has the early seeds. Like, I might even go so far as to say, right, Korn. Actually, no, 92. So we spoke about it on the last time we done this. 1992's Angel Dust album, Faith No More. I think technically that's the first nu metal album.
Okay.
I think this might be the second, and then Korn 1994 is where nu metal really started. But I think that those two albums before them and a few others were really laying the seeds of, I'm fed up with this fucking grunge stuff.
Yeah.
I want to tell everyone how much I fucking hate everything. Too heavy guitars. So I think that this album was one of the ones that laid the seeds. And it sold really well at the time, done really well for Roadrunner, and obviously beefed them up even more. Typo Negative as well. That was a Roadrunner album.
Was it?
So Roadrunner were killing it just from the word go.
Yeah.
They just put out great albums just constantly. But yeah, it's an interesting one to end with, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think I probably will listen to it
album
again and more of their stuff. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to like them going into it, especially when the first song came on as well. I was like, oh, it's another one of those bands. Great. I'd rather listen to Britpop.
Oh my!
So 1993, you either had grunge or Britpop, right? And again, no wonder why people were miserable. And nu metal came around, and pop punk. Like, people were like, we want to listen to something happy. Let's just get pop punk going, shall we?
But if you think about it, like, nu metal is the most miserable of them all.
It doesn't sound it though. You don't have to listen to the lyrics.
It doesn't sound it, but I think the undertones of it were quite. I think that's why it phased out, because everyone was just like, "Fucking hell, is everyone just angry about everything all the time? Like, can we not be happy anymore?" And then we sort of came out of that. Well, nu metal reached the peaks of higher than most other metal genres ever have or will. So that just reached its peak and then nosedived after that. Which is strange, because I think we should talk about that in an episode. I think we should talk about, there's some post nu metal albums that are better than the albums that came out when nu metal was big.
Okay, yeah. It took me a second to get
I think that.
Yeah.
Some of the nu metal albums that came out like 2003 to like 2006 are better than the albums that came out from like 97 to 2002.
Yeah. In
my opinion.
We can talk about them.
But we can do a post nu metal rundown at one point. But yeah, that's it. Those were our albums from the year of 1993. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We enjoyed talking about them. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, very cool. Nice to delve into a year that you have never delved into before, I'm sure, to get some perspective on what was happening.
Like, not even pop music at the time, right? I was really, really into pop music at one point. I was buying all the Now albums. I think it was closer to like 1998, 99, but I'm pretty sure it was Now 44 had the purple cover, Now 42 had the sky blue cover, and it had
look at this guy.
The Backstreet Boys and I Went It That Way on the 42 with the blue one. I think the purple one had like Wham-Do Project, King of My Castle. Oh, loads of cool stuff.
Nice.
But I must have had a really, really short spell of liking pop music and then got into metal. But like, I wasn't really into music that much before that spell of pop music, I don't think. So when I was a bit younger, I probably aren't that many people who are into music at that age anyway.
Yeah.
So it's probably not an odd thing for me to have not been into music. But yeah, like, when I dove into pop music at that point, I dove in real far, real hard. Like, I loved it.
Get you.
I was going to say, actually, when you were talking about the time changes with Life of Agony, you reminded me of Rush with all the key changes. so many key changes with Rush.
They love a key change, don't they? They love a key change.
But it's something I read a while ago as well, though. Key changes are being killed off. Like this, I saw a graph of like top songs in the top 40 or whatever that have key changes, and the number was getting lower and lower and lower. Like, people just aren't doing key changes anymore.
Key changes are fantastic, but they're hard to pull off and sound good.
And how do boy bands know when to stand up?
I like it. Yeah, listen to a Backstreet Boys album. I'm sure that's got tons of key changes on it.
But yeah, I was quite sad. When I learned about like keys and key changes and the theory behind them in college, I was like, that's cool and it makes sense. And then I heard that they're dying off, and it was like, okay, well, that's something I don't need to know anymore then.
There you go. It's a dead art, guys. If you're in a band, you need to be doing those key changes to be different.
Yeah.
Time and key changes. Yeah. That's what we need.
And instrument.
And instrument.
Cool.
But
that was something I've been meaning to bring up for ages, actually, because it was months ago I saw that graph, and I kept forgetting.
That's awesome.
I kept forgetting, but I do like a good key change.
Hells, yeah.
And the circle of fifths. Have you heard of them as well?
Circle of fifths.
Yeah, basically all the key changes from C all the way up through. And it's like the fifth every time.
Okay.
So you go to the fifth of the key, and it's the next key. And
that makes sense.
Next key. Yeah, it's very cool. And you go down as well, and you get all the minor keys, I believe.
Love a bit of minor.
Yeah. And there's one extra sharp each time you go up, one extra flat each time you go down.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at this bit of music theory from Adam.
I know. I love music theory. I really should have done more with it, but
you're speaking to someone that makes music but just fucks around until something sounds good.
Yeah.
So I never learned any music theory.
That would have blown my mind when I was learning in college. It really would have, because I remember hearing once that you sort of have to know the rules. All the best songs break the rules, but you need to know the rules to know how to break them properly.
To break them, get you. Yeah.
And that's the same in a lot of things, not just music. And so for people who would say, I've never learned anything about music theory, it would have blown my mind, and I would have thought you're crap at music then. But some people just know the theory without knowing the theory of it, if that makes sense. It just makes sense to them.
You.
They know it without knowing it.
Yeah.
It's built into them.
Yeah, I think it happens to a lot of people. You'll probably find a lot of your favourite musicians, artists or whatever don't know music theory.
Yeah.
Some of them definitely do. Some of them definitely don't.
No, yeah. But one thing I was amazed to learn, almost all of the big pop stars and pop artists, they will all have degrees in music and everything. Rock is a bit different. You can get into it by luck sometimes if you're that good, but to get into pop you have to go through so many different things that some of them will be some of the most brilliant musicians ever. But they don't seem it because they're pop artists and they don't show that. Everyone,
they're not making prog rock albums.
Everyone thinks they've got a team behind them doing everything for them.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
That is cool. See, why don't we just do a music theory podcast? See, I've always said I would.
Let's talk about hemi, demi, semi-quavers and all that bullshit.
Oh, I can't remember a lot of that. The notation and everything. But yeah, I said a very, very long time ago now on the podcast, if I was to analyze something, I would have to analyze it microscopically. I'd have to find out what key it's in, all that kind of stuff, and analyze it even a lot more than what we do here. That's why I struggle to sort of kind of analyze it the way you do, just hear it and go, oh yeah, that's cool. I know exactly what that is. I would need to have it down on paper and go, what the hell is this song about?
Yeah, get you.
Yes, we should probably go then, because this has been a really fun episode. We got two more to come.
Great.
The next one will be albums that were released 20 years ago, so 1993. And
no, that's what we just done.
That's what I said earlier. 1983 was 30 years ago.
Doesn't seem like it.
No, 1983 was 40 years ago. Fuck me.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what is it, 2003?
2003. This is going to be... We
about.
Could probably do 3 consecutive episodes on 2003 because so much was released in 2003. We were looking last year when we were looking at 2002, and I was trying to think was this album out? No, that was 2003. That was 2003. That was 2003. So there's going to be loads.
I've
to
already
pick
got
from.
some. I've already got some in mind.
Have you?
So,
I haven't got.
Yeah, that I really love from 2003. So yeah.
Yeah. But until then, we're going to have to go. We have been Dear Download. Thank you all for listening. This has been a really cool episode. We've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it more than I thought. Talking about grunge and other rubbish.
Good.
Oh, there we go again. I'm sorry. Before we go, Simon, did you want to talk about your YouTube a little bit? How that's going?
Yeah, sure. YouTube's going really well. Really good. I am clamoring to get 2K subscribers before the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed, please go and subscribe to the channel. My Amsterdam vlog is out now, and my video coming this week will be out now, which I already do now. Yes, it's a playthrough. So yeah, it's a playthrough of the classic Mega Drive game Zombies Ate My Neighbors. So a really good one. So I see how far I can get with 3 lives on the game, and it's a really cool, weird, spooky game. So I'm going to be playing like spooky style games all the way through October, basically leading up to Halloween, but I will do some other videos in between. But yeah, go check out my channel, Simon Bond, if you haven't already, and add me on Instagram if you haven't already, Fonzie_Simon.
Awesome. And we have a new Patreon. Scott Seager has entered the game. No, should I say that? That's a bit rubbish. Scott Seager has entered. What would you like to enter, Scott Seager? Yeah, let us know. Enter the Matrix, enter the dragon.
He's entered the Matrix.
Scott Seager has entered the ring. That's probably what I was going for in the first place. Let us know if you want something better. But yes, Scott Seager, thank you so much for joining the Patreon and supporting us. Really appreciate it. You massive legends. You're all massive legends. I'll say all your names in a minute, but we gotta gush over Seagers a little bit first. But yeah, thank you so much, Scott. I know you're very active in the Discord. Everybody else should join the Discord if you're not in there, but I'll go through these and I'll let you know where you can find it. So, we have James Harrison, Alexander Toon, Dan Jacobs Cross, Dean Delicado, George Butler, Christopher Hambridge, Henry Richardson. I'm not sure if I said this wrong. He did say in the Discord, but it was about 3 weeks ago. I think it was Ben Saccone. He
nice.
did say how to pronounce it. And Scott Seager, you all of you absolute massive legends. We never thought we would get as many Patreons as that. You know, we were talking about it for ages, weren't we? And I was saying, yeah, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. I haven't done it yet. I'll do it soon. But at the time, I wasn't sure if it was the right time to do it, right thing to do, because I didn't think anybody would be interested in joining. But yeah, you guys are all huge legends that have proven me wrong. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you. Join us next episode where we'll be talking about lots and lots of albums that were released in 2003. Like we said, there was loads of them. Whether we just pick a select few or try and cram in as many as possible, we don't know what we're going to do yet. It might be like a speed round. But that's it for us this episode. Thank you all for listening. If you want to join the Discord, you can do. If you just go into the episode where you're listening, and it'll have a little write up about the episode, what's in it. You'll probably be able to hit something like more to see more of the text, and you'll find a link in there called Linktree. For anybody, just in case you might not be sure where to actually find that. I always say it, but maybe I shouldn't just assume everyone knows where to find it. So yeah, you find the Linktree in there, and if you click on that, that will take you to a website that has all the links that you would ever need in there. You can find our Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Discord, a Discord invite, all sorts of stuff in there. You can send us emails from there. Like Simon said earlier, if you've got any complaints, if you want to tell us how bad you think we are or wrong about anything. I don't believe Simon's ever wrong about anything, but I could be. So
I definitely am. So yeah, feel free to correct me if I get wrong about anything. It's not often, but I'm definitely wrong about some stuff.
Cool. But yes, that's where to find it. That's all the cool things you can do. You can write into us, send us a review. You can leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. I don't think many do it, but if yours does offer it, then leaving a review is absolutely awesome. Spotify, you can leave a star review. So it'd be really awesome if you can go and do that for us. So it's going to have to be a goodbye from me. No, for fuck's sake.
I was like, are you saying goodbye first?
I might just put a tumbleweed in there. I was like, what? Why is he not saying anything? Have I missed something? Have I surprised you?
I was like,
that I'm doing the outro already?
That wasn't my cue, bro. That wasn't my cue.
Oh my god. It's been a long week already. Really long week. Okay, let's try that again. See you later, boy. See you later, everyone. That's it. No, I can't do that. It's a goodbye from Simon.
Goodbye.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.